I would love for you to summarize for us of what is your artistic approach, and I think that is very interesting, you know, to bring back memories, to look at methods of communication that are not monuments, but they are really more research and doing actions that bring back the memory of a place. Would you say that's represents your approach to art?
Well, for me, history is never camouflaged. You know, for me, history is always present, and the history precisely that is recorded in the official archives, and the history that is recorded in the buildings, which are embodiments of politics of the time, of power constellation of the time, I think needs to be revisited and needs to be disrupted in the present moment. And I think this we can do with anti-monumental approaches. This we can do with the temporal gestures. This we can do with the projects that are based in time. And therefore I'm interested in the projects which are activating the public consciousness and that are activating the historical and ecological memories.
Now, let's look at this picture from Vilna that you brought. And this is really a cultural house where you developed a campaign, first researching and campaign, to make people aware of this resource and how it really belongs to the people of Vilna. So maybe give us a short description of that campaign and maybe of how that relates to the Charles River.
Well, first of all, this building is built on the bank river in Vilnius, and it is built on the one of the oldest Jewish cemeteries, where the famous Talmudian scholar Gaon of Vilna is buried. And this image tells us a lot about the certain chapter of the history that was attempted to erase the public and cultural memory. And this was part of this utopian Soviet modernization plan, something that you see in the embodiment of this architecture. But the same what is happening recently with the privatization processes, with the processes that are butchering the public spaces, that put also the rivers into this kind of existential situation. Do our rivers as a public good, as a public value, will survive?
Yeah, well, let's look through these images, and I know that maybe you could just describe the process of your research and how you're building this awareness.
So my projects are dealing with the question of preservation and conservation, but in the active sense. And this what I see in the processes and programs that are trying to activate and trying to also attempting to construct communities around the historical or environmental questions and awarenesses, especially in the situations, in the societies which are experiencing transformation, the traumatic transformation, and complete disruption of whatever societal agencies. So therefore, when we started this community around that is concerned with the preservation and conservation, for us the Charles River Conservancy project was an amazing example, something that made us really very much interested how these projects and these agencies can be so well constructed and so successfully produced. For us, coming in from this situation, from the post-Soviet and from post-colonial situation, is extremely difficult to find value in some kind of like communal or some kind of like public. Especially when we are confronted with the high speed of the development, the high speed of the capitalist development.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to bring you back more to the Charles River, because you also have done some wonderful research about the artwork that was done by the Center for Advanced Visual Studies and by Mr. Kepes. And in a way, I think this is his folder of the handle of a folder. Maybe that gives us a chance to talk about when you came here and you offered your course to the students. What do you plan to do, and how can you get from the students this kind of taking the space and using the issues that are around the Charles River? How do you go about that?
Well, there are two important moments. One important moment is that coming to the program of Art, Culture and Technology at MIT is that historical chapter that is inscribed in the identity of the program. And that chapter is precisely dealing with the Center for Advanced and Visual Studies that was founded by Georgi Kepes. One of the major things that Kepes and the Center for Advanced Visual Studies were concerned is to promote civic and environmental dimension of art. To produce projects that are on the civic scale. What that means?
Well, we have some examples here.
First of all, is to bring art outside of the white cube, outside of the gallery space, to bring projects into the environment. And this is what they understand, that precisely this institute that is built at the riverbank, it is very important that it is addressing its own place and its own politics. And this is, for me, gave enormous influence and enormous impact, to think about my course that is looking at this historical moment of 70s and at the ethos of Kepes, this relationship between the civic and environmental.
And here is a wonderful example of him. Is this Kepes that we're looking at here? This
it is.
Hovercraft can travel over ice and water.
It is. It is one of the proposals, and there were many proposals organized that are looking into the relationship between the institute and the river. And what is important for me as being part of the institute and for the students in my class is to look at these historical examples, to understand their relationship and their responsibility as being part of the body that is producing scientific research, that is producing also research in the industry and engineering, as a result making certain impact to the environment. So how do we, as people who are working with humanities and with the arts, can interrogate these relationships and can bring back through the machines back humanity aspect.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to another project, another artist, and what her vision was for the banks of the Charles.
Yeah, these projects are extremely interesting in their scale, and well, we may call them probably utopian examples, because on one hand they have this enormous dimension, but on the other hand, what is interesting is that they precisely addressing the body, the relationship of the body, which are producing certain rhythm by descending to the river.
So these are steps. These are a transformation of the Parklands into a stepscape.
Yeah, so it is a landscape, and this landscape is composed from a variety of the rhythms, variety of the forms that may suggest as ice sheets, may suggest as harmonies, music harmonies, may suggest as the ripple effects of the water into the landscape. So these relationships that are produced between the material that is fluid, between the material that is soft, like a water, and thinking about other consistencies of the water, porous consistency or the hard consistency, give us opportunity to understand the space as the material.